like clock, I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols, reaming my body.
Boruto episode 194 preview. Alright guys, this episode right here is probably going to be one of the better episodes that we have seen in the last couple episodes of Boruto anime. Now I do want to point out, I'm not 100% sure if this episode is going to be a one-for-one adaptation for chapter 27 of the Boruto manga. We do know 100% that there are going to be some things in the upcoming episodes that are going to mimic and that are going to have some things from chapter 27, but again, I'm not 100% sure that they're going to adapt everything in this chapter into the Boruto anime. But regardless, I do think that there is a very good chance that this whole chapter is going to be adapted. So because of that, I'm going to tell you guys exactly what happens throughout this whole chapter. Now the first thing is going to be Himawari and Hinata talking about the vase and how it doesn't necessarily matter. Of course, that right there isn't necessarily anything too big in regards to the big things that we should be looking forward to in regards to this episode right here. The next thing is going to be probably one of the more funny arguments between Boruto and Kawaki. Boruto and Kawaki both want to use the bathroom, and of course in the morning you got to use the bathroom. So of course Boruto is telling Kawaki like, hey, I'm going first. Kawaki's telling Boruto like, nah, I'm going first. Turns out that Naruto is actually in the bathroom, so neither of them can go. So Naruto tells them both to go use the bathroom outside. Now they're using the bathroom outside, and after they finish using the bathroom outside, then they start to fight. We understand at this particular point the tension between Boruto and Kawaki is absolutely insane. Anything could literally set them both off and have them both fighting each other, and literally anything happen and then they both start to fight. Now again, manga wise, I do want to point out, it doesn't necessarily seem like Kawaki is that much stronger than Boruto. From what we did see when Kawaki first fought the first time, we thought that Kawaki would absolutely tower Boruto. We thought that Kawaki would absolutely destroy Boruto. Now without the Karma Seal, just manga wise, and I do want to point out, this right here manga wise was probably just a couple of pages, so we couldn't necessarily get to see Kawaki and Boruto really get to start fighting. So of course we have to watch this with a grain of salt. But from what we did see, Boruto held his own. Boruto is definitely decent. Now as soon as they start to fight with the Karma Seal, then Naruto completely broke everything up. One thing that I do want to point out is that Boruto didn't necessarily activate his Karma Seal upon his own volition. His Karma Seal resonated off of Kawaki's Karma Seal, and because Kawaki activated his Karma Seal, Boruto then activated his Karma Seal that way. But as I said, Naruto pulls up, he breaks up the fight between Naruto and Kawaki. And my man's Naruto wasn't even finished using the bathroom. He had to use a shadow clone to break up Naruto and Kawaki's fight. But regardless, we just understand just from the tension that of course Boruto and Kawaki, they're probably going to fight in the future. Now after that scene, we pretty much see the Uzumakis eating dinner, and it wasn't necessarily anything too special about this particular part right here. Of course, Boruto and Kawaki making smart remarks to each other. They literally can't stand each other, but afterwards, Boruto and Kawaki starts to talk about something of substance. They actually start to talk about the Karma Seal. Now at this particular point, we understand that Kawaki is still extremely suspicious of Boruto, and now it seems like Kawaki is getting to warm up a little bit more. Kawaki asks Boruto, does your Karma Seal really have nothing to do with Jigen, and how do you actually get the Karma Seal? Boruto tells Kawaki like, hey, I got my Karma Seal from this guy called Isshiki Otsutsuki. I fought him, I beat him, and then afterwards I had the Karma Seal. Kawaki, again, still kind of confused mainly because he thought that the Karma Seal was directly linked to Jigen, and anybody who had the Karma Seal was somehow linked to Jigen as well. It turns out that this right here wasn't the situation at all, but Boruto asks Kawaki, how did you get the Karma Seal? Now this right here is going to be very interesting, and I really hope the scene is going to be a little bit longer, man, because there is a lot of things surrounding this scene right here that we are still finding out in the Boruto manga up until this day right here. But regardless, we actually do get to see how Kawaki gets the Karma Seal. It turns out that he was in a test tube. Now this isn't the first time that we've seen anything like this, man, because we've seen this in the opening before, not the previous opening, not the past opening, but I think 3 openings ago we seen Kawaki in the test tube with Jigen directly after that scene. So that's exactly how Kawaki got the Karma Seal as well. Kawaki starts to detail exactly what happened in this scene. It basically said that 13 other people had actually died. Kawaki was the 14th experiment, and there's a 15th experiment that we don't really know about. Again, in the Boruto manga, we are still uncovering things about this 15th experiment. I'm not necessarily going to spoil anything for the anime onlys, but the Boruto manga viewers, we know exactly what's going on. Now the process itself seems absolutely weird. A big thing that we are going to get to see in this episode right here is Jigen himself actually activating the Karma Seal, his Karma Seal. Now his Karma Seal looks absolutely different from Boruto's Karma Seal and Kawaki's Karma Seal. Boruto and Kawaki's Karma Seal, they kind of resemble each other, but Jigen's Karma Seal looks completely different. When I first seen this in the Boruto manga, I thought to myself that, hey, Jigen probably destroyed like 1,000 different Otsutsuki members to get this type of Karma Seal. But again, at that particular point, we thought that the only way that you could actually get the Karma Seal was by defeating Otsutsuki members. This right here looked absolutely insane. Now Jigen dips his hand into a pot, and that pot that basically flows the liquid into the test tube. Kawaki himself said the process was extremely painful. He said once the liquid actually got to him, the Carmicil started to spread all throughout his body, and all throughout his body he felt pain. And that right there pretty much seemed to be exactly what happened with everybody else as well. The only difference in Kawaki's case is that Kawaki didn't actually die. It seemed like Kawaki actually did inherit the Carmicil. He said after that he woke up and then he had the diamond on his arm. And now we did see a couple episodes ago where we seen a younger Kawaki. Supposedly after this process had actually taken place, the flashback ends. Boruto then tells Kawaki like, hey, you must feel lucky. Kawaki tells Boruto that nah, I wish I would have died at that particular point, because ever since then his life has been quote unquote hell. Now Kawaki then expresses to Boruto the need to actually get rid of the Carmicil. Now we do understand that the Carmicil makes Kawaki extremely strong. The Carmicil looks like it benefits Kawaki in terms of actual combat. Boruto's a little bit confused about why Kawaki wants to get rid of the Carmicil. At this particular point, they don't necessarily know exactly what the Carmicil is actually going to be used for, and the audience at this particular point doesn't necessarily know exactly what it's going to be used for either. The only concrete information that Boruto and Kawaki has is that once they activate it, it's basically using someone else's power, and it basically makes them extremely stronger. So Boruto being confused in this situation because Kawaki wants to get rid of the Carmicil is absolutely justified. Now afterwards we did see Naruto in the back lurk, and he basically heard all the conversation. Now Naruto knows exactly how Kawaki got the Carmicil, how Boruto got the Carmicil. Obviously, of course, Naruto kind of knew that even before that, but now Naruto understands a little bit more about the Kata organization's goals and desires in regards to Kawaki and also the Carmicil. One of the more interesting things to note about that particular scene is that Kawaki doesn't necessarily know that Naruto was listening in at that particular point. So Kawaki still thinks that Naruto is completely clueless. We don't necessarily know if that's going to necessarily come up in the future, especially anime wise. But in the last scene, Kawaki and Naruto talk about Kawaki potentially replacing the vase that Kawaki did break in the last episode. And this right here is absolutely hilarious. Kawaki thought that he actually needed to steal another vase literally in front of the Hokage. Like, we're talking about the person who owns the village, or is basically the leader of the village, and Kawaki's talking about stealing from one of the stores. Obviously that wasn't the case. So then Naruto sets up an event where Naruto and Kawaki are then going to go shopping in the next episode. So that right there is definitely going to be a very, very good time. Of course, seeing Naruto and Kawaki bond a little bit more. And in this episode, Kawaki and Boruto got a little bit of their frustrations out. They fought a little bit in this episode. Overall, this episode is going to be a very, very good episode. But let me know what you guys think about this episode in the comment section below, and give me the part of this episode that you're mostly going to be looking forward to. I know a lot of you guys are going to pick Boruto and Kawaki fighting against each other, but me personally, I'm going to have to go with Jigen activating his Carmicil. His Carmicil just looks absolutely insane, and in fact in the Boruto manga, because it is the Boruto manga, we still don't necessarily know exactly what color Jigen's Carmicil is going to be. We know that Boruto's Carmicil is blue, Kawaki's Carmicil is red. We still have absolutely no idea what color Jigen's Carmicil is going to be. If I'm going to have to guess, I'd probably guess purple, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's me, your boy Baara, and we out.
It's a knife.